Are you all ready for me to start blathering on about some Dungeons and Dragons and stuff?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Perfect.
Wait, what's Dungeons and Dragons?
Oh my god, I just want to talk, Claire.
I know, I do it on purpose.
Can I start now?
Yes.
Okay. She's literally, I was about to start talking, and she leans over, just puts the cork in the wine bottle right in front of me. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay. Hello, everyone. We are back with another episode of the Friday Frontier. It's called that because this is when we record it, which is a Friday. Technically, we're at the frontier to the weekend, but that's an entirely unrelated note. We are rejoined by Astrid and Claire.
Hello.
Hello.
Who are playing Flurry and Rothhammer Fall, respectively. The Furbolg Monk Flurry and the Centaur Paladin Wrath. See, I remember these things. Who am I again? The last episode, if memory serves, you had spent pretty much the entire time deciding what to have from an afternoon tea menu at a cafe in the centre of the city of Windcarn, where you are currently situated.
I believe we got some expert advice
From a small child who has
Yes.
since just delivered your food. I think that's how we ended last session. Yeah, so you are sat. It's a relatively comfortable climate at the moment. You're sat on an outside. Well, one of you is sat on an outside table. The other stood awkwardly and has been presented with this. We'll call it a bench. This looks like it's hastily had the back removed, so the centaur can sort of squat on it or round it, so that the weight is taken off of the
You're saying I have
legs.
belly rest.
I'm saying you have basically like a gymnast, like a badly made gymnast's like vaulting thing to sit your horsey hide on. But your food and drinks have been delivered.
How's the
small
taste?
child.
Is it as good as we expected?
It is everything you expected from it and more.
Wow.
It is quite nice to sit and chat and have with you. The warm drinks beverages are warm and very drinkable. I believe you went for scones in the end. You took both cream and jam, if memory serves.
Yeah.
So everything is really quite nice. You have time just to watch people go by. There's a couple of children who, like, you note, they do laps. Like every so often, the same child will reappear and is like awkwardly watching you guys as if they want to know. They're like really interested in what you guys are up to. You make an odd pair in this city, a Furbolg and a Centaur.
I think we can make an odd pair anywhere.
I was trying to be polite. Yes, but I'm also the narrative voice. I'm not being my normal dickish self. This is getting cut. So, how long would you like to spend indulging yourself in these wonderful afternoon treats?
I think we'll stay there for quite some time.
And
I
it's not
assume we're
like the
leaving
schedule.
tomorrow.
So you both of you tried to talk at the very similar times. Claire, I think you spoke under Astra. I heard Astra, but not you.
So well, it's not like we have like an afternoon schedule.
Well, it's not like you have to set off to traipse halfway across what is the current area of the country to go to a different city or anything as part of a job that you accepted from the king.
I mean, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today is lunch and second breakfast, and then is there an afternoon tea?
Well, I mean, you've had breakfast. This is sort of your 11Z/lunch.
Oh, there's no slash here.
All right.
We've got 11C's lunch.
We'll just burn half the library then. Okay, fine. So you spend some time watching the sun go up, reaching its zenith in the sky, and I suppose, you just enjoy each other's company and watching the city go by. The diversity of the city is continuously sort of reiterated to you just by the sheer variety of people wandering around. from different subspecies of elf to dragonborn of various colorations to halflings and gnomes, Kenku Krokra to Baxi, like pretty much like one of everything is here. You don't see any humans, surprisingly. There's a very few of them loitering about the place. You see one or two. A number of the youngest children appear to be humans, but you don't see very many adult humans wandering around. You see a few of the braver centaur are starting to escape from the Central Park and having sort of a look around. Every centaur that's around has a small following of these children that you've seen who are like in awe of what you can hear being whispered to the horsey people.
I greet each of the centaurs if they wander close enough.
They don't really wander very close to you.
What?
They are like, they know you, and somewhere you go generally means it's safe and secure. They're exploring. They want to be out and about.
Fair.
But they're learning the confines of where they can go, where it's safe to run, all that kind of sort of stuff. Because they're used to moving. They're, nomadic. They've been not moving for at least 2-3 days now. Starting to show. But you get very much the impression that this city was built for more people than are here. It's very clear this is still a very finite number of people compared to what this city could hold. The busiest area you would note is clearly still the docks. But a couple of people watch you as newcomers, but a couple of people are watching the centaur. Like various shopkeepers watch. You see a few of the centaurs barter with different shopkeepers for different things. So leather goods being exchanged or woven goods being exchanged for other essentials from the shops. It's nice. Nothing really seems out of place. No one's being judged for what species they are here. People are just trying to survive and get by.
Fair. Good. Yeah, I guess we just people watch for a while. We've been shopping.
You've been shopping. You did a lot of your venture prep last session. You spent quite a lot of your money. You've got the rest of the day really to yourselves.
Should we explore the city further?
Seems like a good idea. Yes. Do you think that large creature that we saw at the palace, question mark?
Castle, probably about way of phrasing it.
Castle.
It very much gave you the impression of a defensive fortification rather than a really showy thing.
Fair. Do you think we could find them, perhaps?
The big grey thing?
Yes.
I don't see why not. I don't know where he would be, though.
Neither do I, but it seems they would be hard to miss.
Also true.
If you see him somewhere.
Would you both like to roll perception checks?
I got a 10.
Apparently, you have pleased the dice gods. I got a 20.
Nice. You don't so much see the stone giant so much as you begin to hear him as you're listening in the background. Like what you'd assumed was the wind. Like you're in a port city, so what you assumed was the sea wind, like almost like pushing through some of the side streets and making sort of a low, like or whistling noise. You realize actually that can't be made naturally, as you realize that the giant is probably whistling a tune somewhere in towards one side of the city.
Do you think that we could hear him from across the city? Because big things make a lot of noise, right?
Usually.
That go far.
Yes.
So, should we follow the whistling?
Might as well. If it leads us not to him, at least it will lead us someplace new.
True. Huh. I get up.
Mm-hmm.
I awkwardly try and borrow my gymnast bar thing.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure we paid up.
Okay. You pay up. The small child takes the coin, shuffles away. You can mark down 1 silver, Claire, and take back 3 copper. And you are free to go.
We would like follow the whistling.
You follow the whistling and you go through. It takes you off down one of the side streets. It takes you a couple of minutes, but you begin to note that the buildings here are clearly increasingly run down and almost like they are straight up derelict. And then suddenly, as you're walking through the streets, the building seems to like the buildings seem to give way, and you realize almost immediately that this becomes sort of like a quarry where stone is being actively taken from these buildings, and there's a clear area where there's been like stone has been dragged and moved, and it looks like someone set up like a almost like a mason's almost like an oversized mason's area where stone is being manipulated and shifted and twisted to fit a new purpose. And sat at the base of a very tall defensive wall is a huge grey-skinned figure. They have surprisingly well-made clothing on. They have sort of like the leggings, sort of almost like leggings on, essentially, with like a leather tunic. And some like looks to be very crude leather, like sort of padding on the thighs where he's got pockets and things like stitched into it. But they are sat cross-legged and they are like manipulating stone on the wall. You can't see quite round them what they're doing, but you get they're probably helping either reinforce or build the wall.
I'll go up to them.
They don't acknowledge you at all. They're just whistling to themselves. At this point, the whistling is like low enough and rumbling enough that it's shaking like your diaphragm. It's like being at the front of a concert.
Yeah. I say hello.
Your voice is lost in the whistling.
I yell, hello! In giant.
That's not what I pressed, but okay. There's a pause. The giant stops whistling and sort of the head turns, looks over you, and there's a moment of wait. Little people. He looks down.
Yeah.
It says in giant, speak to me in giant.
Yes. It is a language spoken by many of my people. I believe we share an ancestor.
The giant sort of leans down to look at you more closely. The mouth, it's like thinking. The hand comes round, like taps you on the head, like with its finger very gently, like ruffles your hair with a pair of fingers and goes, small fuzzy cousin, yes?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, hello, cousin.
Hello, cousin.
You're a long way from home.
As are you.
He shrugs. Don't really have a home anymore, apart from here. Haven't seen my kin in a long time.
Where is your kin?
He just shrugs. I don't know anymore. As I said, it's been a long time.
I understand. I am glad you have found new kin here.
The little scaly one is tolerable.
That is good to hear. He seems kind to me and my friend as well. I sort of gesture at Roth.
I look very confused. Just standing back.
The dragon says in common, "Hello, horseman."
I
Or is it man horse?
try not to snort indignantly.
The giant leans forward and like puts his full hand and pats your horse back. The giant's hand is uncomfortably heavy. Hello,
Hello.
I am Stein.
I am Roth.
You look too small to be wrathful. He leans forward and picks up a huge chunk of stone from the building next to you guys. Like a handful of stone to this giant is like half a house. And he just takes it and just like crushes it between his hands and like twists it. And you get the impression almost immediately there's some sort of natural magic going on here.
Mhm.
Suddenly it's almost like it becomes a single ball of stone that's almost like clay in his hand. So he then turns and begins like rebuilding this section of wall. But you note as you have a second to look at it, there's almost like in this side of the wall, there's almost like a grand sort of like indented carving, almost like cave, not quite cave painting, but like a mural almost engraved into this side, into this side of the wall as he's working. Practical, boring, artistic is interesting.
This is good work.
The head turns to look at the centaur for a moment, and the giant looks at you, Flurry, and says in giant, "I only do the best work.
Of course you do.
The centaur should watch his tongue."
Trust me, I am aware of their tongue. It's I
That
shall keep
sounds
an
like
eye
a
on it.
personal problem.
Yes, that came out wrong. That is
The Stein just nods.
true.
Is giant not your natural tongue, cousin? If not, I understand.
Hmm.
Common is silly.
It is not the easiest language,
No.
but you manage quite well.
Better than Draconic.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to begin with that.
The giant shakes his head.
What is it besides working with the stone that you do here? You fight for the Dragon Man?
There's a blink. I live here. Dragonborn, little dragon man is friend. But other friends said it was safe here. Sneaky friend.
I hope they are right.
Don't have to live in the dark now. He gestures to the fact it's light out. I can be out in the day.
That's good.
Little folk are peculiar, but understanding after a while.
Yes, the people here seem quite open to others.
But I don't fight. I just help people. Defend.
That is good to know.
Don't
We have to leave some friends here. It is important for us to know they are safe.
I make the walls strong. I make them pretty too.
Thank you.
Strong stone, safe people.
Excellent.
Boats, bleh. Don't like the boats.
What's wrong with the boats?
They go on the water. Can't make a boat out of stone.
I suppose not. No. Perhaps an island. Someday. No.
Island made just of stone doesn't grow any food.
Fair.
Would have to eat little folk. Not a good idea.
Not a good idea. No.
Not here anyway.
No.
Good little folk, not good to eat. Bad little folk, good to eat.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
He turns, picks up another half of the building, and just slaps it onto the stone walls.
I'll leave you to your work then.
Okay. I fixed most of the walls now. Castle too.
What will you build after it?
Stone dock, better than wood.
Yeah.
Then maybe art challenges.
Statues?
Great statues.
That sounds really cool. Perhaps when I've returned here, I will see them.
He picks up some stone. Wait. He puts it down, like pushes it together. And I can do great stone working. And pushes it together. You see the great, like there's a like a flare, and the stone begins to shape upwards to about your height, Flurry. And he picks up like what looks to be like a chisel and starts chipping away at it. And as it chips away, he runs like a single finger down it, shaping it. You can see as he pushes it in, he actually warps the stone as he does so. And only after a couple of minutes, there's a passable likeness to yourself, made of stone at your height.
Yeah.
See, this I like. This, he gestures at the wall. Boring as heck.
Oh, I like this very much too. Roth.
What? Why is there stone that looks like you?
I have a statue.
What's that?
A stone that looks like me.
Oh, so
The giant picks up the little statue of you, twists it, and puts it so it looks like it's running up the wall. Then fuses it to the stone wall. There.
Oh, good. I thought you were going to have to carry that somewhere.
You can run up the stone, right?
Yeah.
He turns and reshapes the statue so it's facing like down the wall, so it's looking down at you guys. And it looks like he's got his hand raised for a high five.
I high five.
You've got to run up the wall to high five it.
Yeah.
The giant just laughs. Perfect. I need my coffee.
Oh, I had some of that.
He leans down, and like tucked behind a building is like the largest looking wooden flask you've ever seen. Like flask, like keg you've ever seen. It's been turned into like a single mug. Just drinks from it. Sorry, slow to wake up in the mornings.
I understand.
You guys realize it's the afternoon.
Yeah.
You'd know this. He just looks up. He goes, maybe it's the afternoon.
It doesn't matter.
Spent so long being nocturnal. He stops. Sorry, I'm awake. Leans down and pats you. Farewell, good little cousin.
Oh, I hope until next time.
Until next time, little cousin. If you see
Until
any
next
interesting stone, do bring some back.
I'll try.
All this stone, not an interesting thing in sight.
What makes a stone interesting, just so I know?
You'll know when you see it.
Okay.
If you really are my cousin.
Okay.
Leans down and pats you, like the pats on the head, like your knees like bend. Your head just sinks into your shoulders. You get patted. Is like, oh.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Thank you. And I turn back to go back to Roth.
Bye.
Bye.
Then in common. Bye, man, horsey, horseman.
Centaur.
Just say bye.
And centaur.
Close enough.
That just goes back to giant. Common is weird.
Mm-hmm.
Even little dragon speaks giant. He turns and there's like, you guys have been followed by several of the children, and the children are like looking at the giant in awe.
Mm-hmm.
He looks at them, looks at you. The littlest little folk, he says in giant. Can you tell them I will give them a lift home soon?
I do that.
I will carry them as they want.
I will tell them.
Thank you, little cousin.
Perfect cousin.
He
Aww.
waves. Bye.
Bye. I tell the little kids to wait at the side of the road, just to stay out of the way, but to wait.
All the little kids just stand there and wait. They're like wiggling excitedly.
Mm-hmm.
And as you guys get back, like you start walking away, you hear several of them squeal. As you know, the giant has leaned down, put his hand out. It's like started picking them up really carefully by the scruff of their necks and putting them on his hand, so they can like climb up his arm. And he's just like, you can hear in giant, one littlest little folk, two littlest little folk. And like he just stands after a while, towering over these buildings, and starts walking toward the town center. And he just puts his arm on the ground, and these little kids, as you guys get there, these little kids will get off his arm, they like clamber down, like slide down his like arm. He just stands and walks back to the wall. It's like he's done this a little bit or something.
Yeah. Do you have somewhere you want to go, Roth?
I do not believe so. I believe that perhaps I should return back to the herd.
Yes.
See if the elders require anyone to take additional training for it. Since I will not be here.
Yes.
So you head back to the park. So you reach the park and you find almost immediately one of the elders examining what looks to be like a green bottle of some description. And they're holding what looks to be glasses. And you realize the elders may or may not have traded some of their goods for wine to experience some of the things that the locals have. Those luxury goods. Things that they might not have been exposed to, having been a nomadic herd for so long.
Uh-huh. I'm sure they have their own moonshine.
I mean, probably, but it's not the fine wine, is it? Really. Speaking of fine wine, sorry, podcast. That was the sound of the bottle I'm pouring from colliding with my glass. I may or may not be indulging myself in some wine. Maybe that's why the elders have it. Who knows? I certainly don't. Hashtag DM problems. So you return to the Central Park, and you do find your Central elders all appear to be sharing what looks to be a glass of wine.
I nod to them as we come back.
Several of them sort of nod back to you. Roth, says one of the eldest. You have returned, have you?
Yes.
Wonderful.
I leave in the morning.
We
Yes.
know.
Please don't always know.
We read the stars. They tell us what we must know.
Uh-huh. Flurry and I will be leaving in the morning.
Then we shall hold the necessary trials to select a new protector in your stead.
Is there anyone you wish me to work with this evening?
No. They will undergo the trials, as you did.
I roll my shoulder like an old injury that hurt.
You should have ducked, so the elder says to you.
Uh-huh. As should you.
The eldest is sat down, looks at his feet, looks up at you. None of your cheek, young man.
That is your favourite part.
Oh, I can't wait for the peace and quiet your absence will bring.
Yes, you can.
The centaur elders are clearly in the middle of a discussion, and one of them is just bantering with you now. The rest of them don't talk while you're still talking to the eldest.
Are you sure there is no one you wish me to test?
Yes, we are quite sure, Roth.
But I have an entire afternoon.
We are quite sure, Roth.
I promise not to break them.
Roth, we are quite sure.
Ah, you are no fun. I see how people were out.
They are exploring and examining this barter system that the Dragonborn mentioned.
Some seemed quite good at it.
Indeed. The eldest seem like it becomes very clear to you, Roth, that these older centaur are really, some of them are quite pushing the age, so they would not be able to keep up in the wilds anymore. And you know full well that means they're reaching the end of their lives, and they are clearly tired. This strange situation is putting stress on them, and a lot of them just don't have the energy to deal with your sass at the moment.
He's holding it back.
They have issued their command. You know, if you keep pushing them, they are going to snap, and that would be very bad for you.
Is there anything you require of me this afternoon?
No, Roth. That is why we have not summoned you.
Then I will go. I don't know.
We thought it best to let you enjoy and learn about this new space before you departed it, so you knew what you would expect to come back to. Plus, the herd has to get used to acting without you watching over their every move.
That is my job as protector.
Job that you will hold in title, but not in practicality when you leave. Hence why another will go through the trials.
He nods. That is fair. I will still be doing my job as protector, just not here.
Which is why we are enacting the ability to have, rather controversially, a second protector. Not to strip you of your place, but to allow someone to be here while you are not.
I am aware of this.
Then perhaps you would stop testing the patience of the elders while we are talking in council.
I will just... He wanders over to the half-broken tent. Plops himself down.
The one that you broke.
Yes.
Okay. Florrie, you get to hear the centaur elders basically tell Roth to sod off because they're busy.
Yeah.
In the least polite way they can without being straight at confrontational. Roth's perches himself down on this damaged tent. The elders sort of watch you and go, we do not wish to push his temper nor our own any further. The elder says through a yawn, but we must sleep soon. I must. They will not be in session without me.
Understand.
We would appreciate it if you could help him actually return to us in one piece.
Of course.
You make a good team.
Thank you.
There's a nod from the eldest, who slowly pushes himself to his hooves. and trots over to his tent. He pushes himself into it, and you'd see that the eldest of the centaurs appears to just go to bed. A number of the other elder centaurs do the same. The youngest, the elder council, so just stays there for a moment watching you. Lifts this glass of wine to his lips and sips it, sort of looking at you. You know, he says once the eldest of the elders are gone. Once the oldest of us passes, and some of the elders are sure to follow in the wake of this unpleasant stress, there will come a time where Roth will be bound to stay with the herd permanently, as he is not exactly the youngest of us.
How old?
These eldest have only lasted as long as they have because of circumstance and access to particular herbs, which we will no longer have here. While our people are gifted with a certain lifespan, if they can't run with the herd, you know what happens. If you can't keep up,
You
you
fall.
can't. And you can't outrun the predators.
There are no predators here, though. Things will change.
Indeed, but while Roth is still young in the grand scheme of things, I worry the elders will still attempt to reissue this nomadic way of life as they do not wish to give up our culture for too long. And even if we do get this new place to roam, once your mission is done, Roth is still the protector.
I understand. However, and I do not mean to speak against the elders. It is unwise to have only one protector.
What do you think I have been telling them? However, tradition dictates that only one will be able to go through the trials every decade.
Still,
So I have only just managed to convince them to allow such a. He pauses. Travesty is the word my peers would use. But these are exceptional times.
they are.
There were those that dissented against your joining us, Flurry. Surely
I am
you know
aware.
that much.
Yes.
Do not doubt that I have every intention of ensuring that Roth ends up in one of the seats of the eldest. Even if he is not the oldest, he would have the most experience in practical terms in this new world, should you venture out, which you will be, of course. For experience
Seems like
alone, is a wealth that years sometimes cannot grant.
that is undeniable. Yes.
Maybe if they might be convinced to let an outsider go through the trials of protector at some point, he looks you up and down, almost as if he's judging you. Perhaps when you return, we shall see if I can convince them of that.
Yes.
Should that be a path you wish to walk.
I will consider it.
And then may the stars guide your steps.
Yeah.
So, Flori, what do you do? Is this elder? So this centaur elder isn't actually technically what you classify as an old centaur,
Mm-hmm.
but he essentially was the protector prior to Roth.
Yeah.
The protectors you would know are generally the youngest of the elders.
Yeah.
But as he said, experience grants you a seat of respect that age alone can't. So
Mhm.
protectors have a habit of being on the eldest council young, because even if they aren't the active or youngest protector, they still have the same like mentality towards it. They tend to be the elders that die youngest.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that end up fighting the most.
Mhm.
So this elder shrugs at you, and you see as he moves in the light as it's beginning to shift below, like 2 in the afternoon. You see the light just glitter across the litany of scars across this centaur's body. Shrugs at you and goes, "Well, for what it's worth, good luck." Do
Thank
keep
you.
up with him.
I will.
He snorts it like he just blows the raspberries and just stands up and starts walking away. You note for the first time there's a slight limp in the centaur's walk. Not sure if that's because he's been sat on his leg weirdly, or whether or not that's an old battle wound, but
Yeah.
drives home the point that protectors die young.
Mhm.
But Roth is just sat over in the tent, like being grumpy.
Yeah, I'll go over to Roth.
He's not being grumpy, he's being bored.
Same difference.
He's used to being needed.
Yeah, well, you're welcome to being inside Wall City. Roth, your friend has a further couple-minute conversation with like your senior protector, I guess the best way for the elder of the protectors.
My mentor.
Yeah, your mentor.
Mhm.
Your master to whom you were an apprentice.
Mm-hmm. I admit I do not know what to do with myself now.
It is difficult, I suppose. I spoke with your friend.
Ah, yes.
I have come to a conclusion.
He perks up a little bit. Oh,
Most of the elders, they're not that wise.
I pause a little.
This is basically blasphemy.
I do
Go
not
on.
believe they are ill-intended.
Oh,
They do not seem to wish to adapt as much to these new environments, or they do not know how. They move as slow as their bodies do.
they have come from a time where it was always just so,
Yes.
from before them to now.
Hmm.
I believe the seasons are turning. This is not something they were prepared for,
No.
because the people before them were not prepared for it. It is troubling times.
In a way, yes. But I hope they will come to see that even if our situation changes, if the herd's situation changes, it is still the same stars above them, still the same ground we walk upon.
Yes. But their question will be for how long?
There's a slight scuffling of a couple of footsteps as you hear excuse me.
Stand up immediately.
Excuse me, I'm looking for a flurry and a Roth.
I have my hand on my hammer. And you are?
You're looking at what looks to be a rather nervous half-elven individual who's wearing what looks to be clerical robes. So they're like a priest almost.
I recognize this. Relax a little.
Apologies for interrupting.
Yes.
I'm of one of the judges that is being constructed. They gesture off further into the city, in the city. And I was sorry, I'm not normally this. I don't like leaving the temples, you see. But in my meditations and prayer, I saw not a vision. That's the wrong word. I got an impression. And
I squint.
they walk up to up to your Roth. They fish something out of one of their pockets. They hold something up to you that you would need this.
Take it.
What you've been handed is essentially like it's like a small frame that pins parchment in place, but instead of parchment being pinned to it for reading, it's almost almost like a clipboard in many ways. There's like it just looks like a single piece of slightly curved silver.
What is this?
I'm not really sure. The church has had it. It's been in the church site since before the churches were here. These churches, it's from the old churches from before.
What church do you speak of? Name your god.
There's a blink. Oh, they don't have a name yet.
I squint. All gods have names.
Not all of them.
I squint harder.
Some of them have titles.
I'll name the title then.
Doesn't have one yet. But I got an impression you'd need this.
So you worship a god you know neither the name or title of?
Does that sound familiar?
No.
Oh. Well, I'm waiting, basically, for them to discover their divinity, I suppose. I'm helping them in a roundabout kind of way. But I'm not here to discuss my faith, because it's about I guess it's more of a conceptual rather than a deical faith. They gesture vaguely. Look, in my divination, not divinations, that's the wrong word, because that they look down. You need this in a time where there's great difficulty and strife, and you hit a wall, you don't know how to progress. You'll
I know
need
what
this.
it is. But he's not like. Would it seem familiar to him in any way?
Nope. I don't know what it is, but it was sat in one of the lower levels of the temple.
Do you know the name of the temple it was found in?
Nope, no one does. The king might have done at one point, but I don't know if he was here during the Great War. But regardless, it was rubble, and they found the cellar, and this was in it. But I think it's meant to be with you.
I will very
And you,
carefully
they
take
point
it.
at Flurry. Both of you, either one of you could use it, I guess. It's for I guess for your journey. It'll be useful for you.
I will very carefully take it, look at it, and inspect it.
Mm-hmm.
What would you like?
Are you trying to identify what it is?
Yes.
Okay, you can run me a nature check then.
It's the wrong character for nature, but that's a 12.
You have no idea. It looks like a solid piece of silver that's curved slightly. It's like a sheet of silver almost, but it's pinned to a frame.
Weird silver thing.
But I believe if you put your hand on it and you pray real hard, they shrug. I don't know. The impression is you'll know what to do when you need it.
Okay.
Look, faith works in weird ways, okay? Not all of them are explainable by the mortal.
I have no need for faith, I have heard.
They open their mouth, they look at Flurry for a second as if they've actually heard this correctly. They point at Roth. That they know that's the same, like they have faith in her, same sort of faith you have as in the god, right? They understand that, right? No?
No.
Culture thing?
Culture thing.
Okay. When you really need it, believe in this like you believe in herd, and hopefully it will help you, I guess.
Just look confused.
He shrugs. I don't know. I just had a dream and like an impression
Thank you, strange man.
You're assuming a lot. So the person in electrical robes says, like half elf, looking at you. These robes hide a lot, okay?
Strange female?
The half elf sort of, don't assume.
I just look and go, strange is definitely the right word.
Yes, that's all the half elf says. Go with strange.
I have.
Hey, that should be my name. So they say quietly. I should be Priest Strange. They turn and walk away.
You don't have a name?
By the time you say that, they've walked through the tree line and they're gone.
I look at Flurry. Is it me? Or was that weird?
It is not something I'm familiar with. Perhaps elves here do not have names?
Right. Most old.
Yes.
But it is about 2:30 in the afternoon. The sun is surprisingly low. A lot of people are surprised at how dark it is this time. It's almost like the days are getting shorter. It's getting cooler, quicker.
I go to the communal. I guess we kind of hang around and chat, and then we go to the communal fire pot where there is dinner.
You'd note one of the centaurs has located somehow one of the things they bartered for is a chef's hat and an apron.
I give him finger guns without.
He thumbs up and he's got like a
Know what they
spoon in
are.
the other hand, and he's like, "This place." They look at you. They're like, "Roth, this place. The things I have bartered for, from the herbs we know how to collect, I have bartered for these wonderful implements of cookery." He gestures with the spoon. Look, I only had one of these before. He pulled his apron slightly to one side, and there's like what we would give like a bandolier across like his middle. This like it's bandolier that's normally for over the shoulder that's been wrapped around his middle. Is a whole slew of different like spoons of different sizes, a spatula. He's like, I am equipped for everything we might need now.
Good.
I have what they call a job too, which is I help cook for one of the taverns, which means money. I don't know what money is, but apparently it's useful.
They trade for it.
Even better, that means I can buy more spoons.
Maybe the herd would need other things than always spoons.
Yes, spatulas.
I just nod.
But I've also heard of a mythical thing. Broth. He walks around. This male centaur trots around the huge food like broth cauldron that's bubbling away. I have heard of a legendary implement for the consumption of food, known as a spork.
I just open my mouth and close it again.
I must have spoons, spatulas, and sporks.
Yes.
He goes back to stirring the broth. But regardless, I must always have, for the fact that we almost always have broth when we're sitting in a place where we can trade, I must also have my ever trusty ladle. He pulls out like a large ladle and pours this like essentially vegetable and like stew into a bowl or broth or whatever you want to call it, and hands it to you. Just does another one, hands it to Flurry. There you go.
I take it. Thank you.
It's plenty more.
The tavern will be pleased with your skill, brother.
Well, I said though I should only keep serving this stuff to the herd. I shouldn't give it to anybody else, because otherwise they wouldn't make money anymore if I'd be giving out free food.
No, I suppose not.
But they said I should make the nicest soup or broth I could, because the centaur yawns for a second. Sorry, I may or may not have indulged in overtime at the pub. They said I should make the nicest smelling broth in the world. That way, when people walk past town, they get hungry and they'll go into the pub. They said something about advertising commission. I'm not sure what that means.
I shrug. I have no, like, he has no idea.
But it's something about more money. And if money means I can barter for more spoons, spatulas, and sporks, I'll be happy.
I am glad you have found a place here.
Because there's more spices that I could get. Oh, no, I must have spoons, spatulas, and spices. The spork I will attain in due time.
Yes. I shall keep an eye out for one of these legendary sporks.
Please do. Apparently, it's a combination of a spoon and a fork.
I do not know why you would need both.
Apparently, then you can stab your bread and scoop your soup. I don't know why you'd want to do both at the same time, but apparently you can.
But imagine you are holding your bowl with one hand.
But then if my bread is already in my soup, if one hand is already occupied, then why would I need to stab the bread and scoop the soup?
Perhaps you are picking the bread up.
But my hand's holding the bowl.
But did you have another hand?
But that's holding the spork.
And then you could stab the bread.
Just eat your broth, damn it.
Why do these sessions always end up about food?
I don't know. So you've essentially been given an evening meal, although it's really rather early in the afternoon because the light is disappearing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I do not know what to do with my evening. I look
Perhaps-
as I eat.
Perhaps we should rest
Mm.
so we can leave well and early tomorrow.
We are due up early and it is a long travel.
Yes.
Agreed. Although, can we use our tent that we can't get stuck in?
Yes, let's try it out.
Are you going to set up your fancy tent?
Yeah.
Yes.
You set up your fancy tent, so there's nothing that Roth is going to get tangled in.
Mm-hmm.
There's enough room for you to settle down. Surprisingly, the tent also comes with, like, well, you have your bedrolls and stuff with you as well, don't you?
Yes.
So you put the base sheet down, you have your bedrolls and everything. You settle down. It's already getting dark. It's quite early, but do you just want to rest the day away?
Yeah, I think we just probably. I'd wait to an opportune moment to check in with the elders.
The elders are just napping. They get up for a little while to have dinner, but then they go back to sleep. And most of these elders are like fossils, Claire.
Mm-hmm.
That for centaurs, they have expended almost all their energy almost immediately. Like, it was a miracle they could keep up with the herd when you ran. So you're just going to rest, yeah?
Yeah, I think once we settle in and we're in our private space,
Mm-hmm.
I will probably tend to flurry. It concerns me, the elders.
Yes.
Many of them are. Best not spoken of here, I suppose. Best not spoken of here, I suppose.
I guess so.
Remind me tomorrow when we are on the road.
I will.
Is that rest time now?
It is rest time now.
Yes.
Okay, not that it makes a difference to you guys, but you get the benefit of a long rest.
Woo.
Woohoo!
And you wake up at what can only be described as midnight.
No, we won't get into bed that early, Ross.
I'm kidding. Well, okay. 2 a.m. You went to bed early because it got dark. You went to bed really early. Like, really early.
Fine. We get up at 2 a.m.
The city is silent. Bar one place where you can hear what sounds to be very faintly like the rumble of drums, but like that's an extreme distance in the city. Very faintly, you see some lights like dancing in the distance of the city.
Should we investigate?
Could go have a look, I suppose.
We would like to go investigate the flashy lights.
Okay.
Mhm.
You wake up, you begin trotting towards the lights and the noise. As you get closer, you get to a section of the city that is mostly abandoned, bar what looks to be a crude observatory building, and a building that has these lights coming out of what looks to be the basement level. There's through several different essentially almost like delivery doors, I guess, that go down to subterranean levels. The main staircase that heads down toward what you assume is the entrance to this place has a queue of people outside of it, and at the front of the queue is a large sort of burly black scale dragonborn who has what looks to be a piece of parchment and a quill and ink and a sword at his hip, and they are like ticking people off a list and going, "Yep, in you go." And a person's being let in. Periodically, someone drunk stumbles up the stairs and goes, "Good night, everybody," and staggers off into the night.
I look confused as I stand and watch. These strange people.
Perhaps we should warn the herd of places like this.
This does not seem.
You can hear like the rumbling of the drums, like it's in the floor, like it's vibrating the ground at your feet ever so slightly now as you get closer.
I wonder if this is that place the barmaid talked of.
Perhaps, yes.
This is interesting.
Interesting, yes. However,
This for the herd, maybe not.
no.
You guys hear the sound of glass shattering as the large dragonborn who is holding the clipboard turns, and you see what looks to be several private guards shoving some bit, like moving to push someone out of this property up the stairs. This person has like a broken bottle in one hand and they're flailing it at these guard. The dragonborn just sighs, leans down, picks this individual up by the shoulder. You hear them like going, ow, as they're being picked up by this large dragonborn. The glass bottle is just taken unceremoniously out of the hand and tossed into the street where it shatters. And this individual who's misbehaving is just tossed down a side alley where they hit the wall and with a crunch. And they slide down and they go, "My nose." Ugh. And then you hear the sound of someone being rather physically sick.
No, it seems they take care of ruffians.
That is good, yes. I think overall the security here is outstanding.
It is. Heartening to see.
Yes.
We should alert the herd before we leave. But the half an will still be asleep.
We still should.
I sigh.
You found the club, guys.
I mean, part of me wants to go in.
That's dangerous.
Um,
You can see the queue, right? Like, you ain't getting in there tonight.
yeah, but we're weird.
Yep. You ain't getting in there tonight.
I guess. They'll turn around and go back.
Okie dokie. You head back towards the park. Nothing has changed. You can hear the snoring of several of the Centaur Guard. Who
Guard?
who are not on the night shift.
Oh.
You
Just
have
checking.
guard. You travel. Like there's some of you who are trained to like patrol at night.
Oh yeah. No, I was just thinking the ones that were supposed to be awake weren't.
No,
That's
no,
when
they're
they
the
tell
day
them off.
shift.
That's
There's
allowable.
there's several like sentinels sort of stomping around, quiet. Let's say stomping, like trotting around quiet, carefully. They've been watching the lights and they haven't been bothered by them, so they haven't done anything. They haven't gone to investigate.
I nod to them. Are there any centaur that I would know of that I think would make a good protector in my stead?
That is not a judgment call you ever tried to make in your head, and you would hesitate to make because you know full well it's not your place to make that decision.
No, I know that. But would there be anyone that I would recommend?
No, because you've never considered it.
As I look around now.
Because you'd have another 10 years, or so, have at least another 5 years before you'd even have to think about it. So no, there's no one you'd recommend right now.
I think this would probably unsettle him more than anything else.
You've got to bear in mind the fact there's only one per generation has been a bit worrying, or one per every decade is a bit worrying for your people because in times past, that's like protectors have been a reasonable portion of the herd. But you've lived through times of peace for so many centuries now, bar the disruption, of the Dragon War, that you've not needed protectors. Like one's been enough to run off monsters, or like people who like creatures that have thought of you as horses and tried to act as predators. One apprentice and one mentor. That's two of them at a time. You've not had the need for any more. But now they're looking at expanding it again. It's odd.
But not necessarily like massive null invasion. It wouldn't.
Yeah, but that's the thing is you've had centuries of the fact there's this many like rudimentary guard is unusual. You've had generations of peace and some of them arming now. You haven't seen any of them in combat enough to think about who would be best as a protector. You haven't even really had to think about it because you didn't think this outcome would be considered. Culturally, you're like, I don't know, like, yeah, okay, I can sort of understand where they're coming from, but culturally, it's not what they've done as tradition for the last, number of generations you've been told about.
Yeah.
So you haven't considered it because you, by right, you'd be the next one to pick an apprentice. So you'd be picking the next one, but you haven't. There's no one you pegged yet.
So would there not be something in place that, like, say he fell?
That's why your mentor is still alive and could still take on more.
But is there not someone they would have discussed, like, because that person would have then taken on additional training, whether they knew they'd been.
That's why you have guard. But no, you haven't got anyone right now.
Brass, don't drop stuff.
That was you bellend. You haven't got anyone now because it's not a question you ever thought you have to consider for at least another half decade.
But now I'm considering it.
Now you're considering it, you're going, I haven't seen any of these people do anything bar like standard fighting when I've been distracted to do it. You've not seen them run through drills because you've been doing your thing.
Okay.
Like, if anyone that you recommend, it'd probably be Flurry, but that's incredibly out of the normal remit.
I'd have to argue with the elders a long time for that.
Also, if we have to do more stuff around, that's not going to be an easy solution.
No, that's not going to be an easy sell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it's still really, really early. Is there anything you'd like to try and do, or would you like to gather your equipment and set off?
I think it's probably too dark to set off. And we weren't going alone because there was like a convoy.
You can hear rumblings of stuff moving around in the city. Like, the cart is already being moved, that sort of thing.
And I think he'd have to stay long enough to say goodbye to the elders.
Okay. So, the elders aren't going to wake up for many hours. They knew you were leaving.
Yes.
You know this, like you can see there's people that there's people who are waking up now. There's several people you know in like looks to be in traveling armor, of different of different races though. You get the impression some of them only look like they're only prepared for short travel. There's only one that looks like he's like equipped and carrying goods for long distance traveling.
Yeah.
But you are, you know, it's still quite late, or it's still quite early, rather. Like it's entirely up to you as to what you want to do. But the elders are not awake. What would you like to attempt to achieve at this time in the morning?
Should we leave now or wait to the elders?
I do not mind traveling in the dark. However, saying goodbye to the elders and possibly the young ones might be wise.
Yes, I believe you're correct.
Perhaps we can help with the cart, loading it,
Yes. And then
seeing it full as well.
let's just go do that.
So you head over to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of individuals. There's a dragon one. There's a dwarf. There's a pair of gnomes, and there is looks to be a half elf, a relatively lithe half elf. You think like you'd peg them as half elf and just looking at them, but something seems a little bit weird about them as far as like how they are, their structure is, how their facial structure is. They're all loading this cart with different goods and things. One of the dwarf just sort of looks, sees you guys approach, and he's like, "Oh, are you the two the king wants to send to that place?" He gestures vaguely out of the city.
Yes.
No, right. So you're what? His what? Do-gooders?
No, we are working.
Right. Well, they're loading start the truck up or the van up with food and whatnot. Supplies, arrows, bits and bobs, a lot of stuff like that.
Is there anything we can do to help?
I mean, have you got any supplies you want that you don't want on your backs for the entire journey? I mean, I ain't going all the way to where you're going. Not most of us are. Only one of us is, and that's Grumpy back there.
I look towards where Grumpy is.
Grumpy is the weird half-elven-looking individual.
What is his name? Grumpy.
Oh, they even give me a name, which is why they're called Grumpy, isn't it?
How far are you going?
Oh, I'm only going about a third of the way you're going, I guess.
Interesting.
Some people tried saying I was something like the chain out heading west up to the coast. But that's as far as I'm going, and the rest of it's on you guys and Grumpy here.
Okay.
Well, if you want to help them load, there's a couple more crates to put on the back here.
I will go wander off and help them load.
Mm-hmm.
Grumpy McGrumpus in here.
Okay, would you like to roll me a strength check?
Sure. Are there plenty of people here?
There's some people helping you. That does affect your DC. So
Let me get these back on a short rest, don't I? Yes. I'm going to say yes. I'm going to use my Peerless Athlete.
which does
Gives me advantage on strength and dexterity checks.
okay. Remember, it's a strength check, Claire, not an athletics check.
Oh, well.
Which is why I said strength and not athletics.
Just take 3 off that. 28.
So 25. So,
yeah.
Yeah, you pick up the crate. You put it on the back. It's another one. You do it. It's not a problem. You're moving these other people. A lot of people are mildly shocked that you're quite disabled to just lift and shift stuff. But it's done. And while you're working, and the dwarf just looks at Flurry and goes, "Hey, are you one of them fur bulky types?"
Yes.
That's cool. I ain't seen one of you around these parts before.
I am not from here, no. You have seen others like me, though.
Yeah, I once took a boat over to Primal. That was a bit of an experience.
They're more like me.
Primal was a home to all the kinds of weird folk. So there's a couple out in the foresty areas near Belcrest. Though they have much rosier noses than you, as they live in the cold most of the year round.
Mm.
Well, I say most of the year round. Don't think they've seen a summer in. He considers it forever.
Mm.
Apparently, there's just some places in the world the sun don't shine. Anyway, yeah, no, they're rosy, like your rosy nosed and rosy ears. They're like, I guess they're like winter furball or something. Because you get like, wood elves, sun elves, moon elves. And you get like summer furball and winter furball, I suppose, don't you? Eh? Maybe, huh?
The
dwarf smiles through his big beard at you.
I suppose. Perhaps one day I can go to this place.
Well, I mean, if you get on a boat, it's not awful far. Not as far as somewhere like Vinar or not Westbridge. Westbridge is pretty far away. Dragon Crest or somewhere like that up in Biken.
I'm just nodding along like I know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, lots of people come down here for a new start. Wouldn't be surprised if a Furbolg wanted a new start. Some of them said something about Feywild being weird, but I don't know. I don't know nothing about no Fey.
No. If another one does come here, ask where they're from.
I will do. I mean, if I see you again afterward, I'll try and let you know, eh?
That would be great. Yes. Thank you.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Well, since we're traveling together, at least I can do is just be helpful, eh? That's why I told you about Grumpy.
Yes. I shall check on them later.
Grumpy is an interesting one. Don't know what's got him so pent up, so aggressive, all that kind of fun stuff. I reckon it's the party's part elf. Part elves can't help but deal with the awesome of a dwarf. Not many other dwarves in this city, though. Not the nice type. He shrugs. Anywho, this convoy should be ready to roll out in a couple of hours. So you got any goodbyes to say? Probably gotta do them now.
We will. Yes, I'll go get my friend.
Good. If it's one of them old folky, then I'd apologise for waking them up, but nah. It's a bit late for that, isn't it? Anywho. See you later.
Yeah. And I'll go over to Roth.
Roth is just moving crates like they're made of paper. Like he's like yoink, bop, yoink, bop, yoink, bop.
Mm-hmm.
He's loaded the cart in like half the time they were expecting. And like the people are just sort of watching like, what the fuck?
Well, because I have twice the carrying capability anyway, plus.
Yeah, no, I know, which is why you've done this so easily. That and you fucking nat 20'd. They're just sort of watching Roth do this, and they're like, "Yep, okay, cool." But you go up to Roth, no one stops you.
They are planning to leave soon.
No, we should go say goodbye to the elders. And the
Yes,
children.
we should.
I kind of nod to the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We will see you shortly.
A few of them grunt back, and then clearly not a lot of them like being awake at this time.
Fair.
As you make your way back toward the elders, you guys trot into back into the Central Park, and the centaurs, like there's a slight, there's slightly more awake than there were, as it looks very much like they're getting ready to wake up. One of the elders is actually awake. It's the youngest. It's the protector elder. It's awake. He looks over at you guys. It's clear he's holding like a breakfast. Or it looks like a bread in his hand. He's munching on it. Looks over, waves at you guys. Oh, I thought you'd be off by now.
We came back to say goodbye.
Ah. Do you want me to try and wake up the old ones?
Perhaps it is best that they rest.
The
I say
children,
quite meaningfully.
the children off having their breakfast.
We should get something for the road.
By all means. For what it's worth, I wish you the best of luck.
I shall return soon.
Indeed. Regardless, Roth, I will be taking another, I suppose, apprentice is the best word,
Yes,
for the trials in the next couple of years.
I apologize. I know you had not meant to do this so soon.
Well, it would have been you picking who you would mentor next.
I appreciate. But this is for the best of the herd. I truly believe.
It is, I'm sure. Still, now I have to train one of these whippersnappers into shape.
I was thinking on that last night. I must say I am not sure who would be a good fit.
And I wouldn't expect you to know it yet.
I would be interested to see who you pick.
But maybe you'll find out when you come back.
Yes.
But for now, if you wish to say goodbye to the children, I'd recommend heading over to the breakfast area or the food area and saying goodbye to them and getting your food for the road.
Where else would the children be? I smile.
This time, bed.
No, the city's new.
I know it is. That doesn't mean they'll be allowed out in it this early. The city still slumbers, Roth.
That does not mean they will not try.
You're quite right. They're very trying. He rolls his eyes. Off with you, young horse.
I will head off to the breakfast area.
At the breakfast area, there's little centaurs like running around, like with springs in their steps, like holding bread rolls and pieces of like vegetable and stuff, whether they've had fried up, and the cook is like basically the cook is finishing some, putting them onto like a buffet plate, and they're just being taken and eaten as quickly as they can be served.
I will catch one of the ones that run past and pick him up, tossing him in the air.
There is an immediate squeal as horse hooves go flailing in the air. Flurry, you duck sideways almost immediately, as horse hoof would have been where your head is now, is now in the space your head would have been occupying a second earlier.
I then catch them and put them down.
They look at you and they shake their fist at you. Mr. Protector, that was mean.
But you had fun, did you not?
I didn't want to be upside down and in the air.
Wow. You should have been aware of your surroundings, little one.
I was perfectly aware of my surroundings. I was around by the Protector. I didn't expect him to be a big meanie.
No, you must expect all things in life.
Do you expect this? You get kicked in the shin quite hard by this child.
Yes, I did. He smiles.
The kid runs off.
I giggle.
The chef is just looking at you.
What? Protector must have some fun.
Of course, Roth, of course. What'll it be for you? Bread and veggies like everyone else, or do you want something special for the road?
Something that will travel well. I doubt we will be eating well. He gestures to the food for a while.
Right. No, okay. You're basically puts together like a pack of uncooked salted meats for you, and then like puts together a load of like hard bread that will keep for a long time. Hands it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that they had that traveled well, like rations and stuff that will last the first day or so. He prepares for you.
Thank you, friend.
Not a problem. That should keep the two of you going for at least a little while, hopefully.
Hopefully soon we will return with rights to new lands.
Regardless, that's the hope. That's the hope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose it matters how long it takes, really. We'll endure. As long as you do actually come back.
I shall try.
That's the important part.
I've got to keep whoever takes on the role of protector on their toes.
Of course you do. But I really hope both of you come back. Having an outside like yourself, Florrie, is doing a breath of fresh air to some of the young ones.
They seem quite entertained. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice that they get to meet someone on a regular, get used to somebody who runs on 2 legs, not 4.
Yes. There are plenty of those people here.
The chef smiles. Yes, but they'll always remember you first.
I hope so.
Well, both of you best come back in one piece. What else am I going to test my new recipes on? As a
The
smile.
elders. I smile.
No, they already get bad enough wind as it is. I don't need to put any more pressures on them. Get kicked out if they have any of my particularly spicy recipes. Dear God, the wind they would pass. I wouldn't be cooking for weeks.
Well, you have your new job at the tavern.
Yep, I still wouldn't be cooking there because the noxious fumes would drive anybody away. Anywho, hopefully that food will get you somewhere. The kids will miss you guys. You know, they look up to you. Both of you.
Well, they have no choice. They are so short.
That's not what I meant, you little shithead. Regardless, I guess I just have to tell them stories of Roth's childhood.
You do know I'm coming back, right?
Yeah, it just means they'll have grown up knowing how much of a headstrong dumbass you were when you were a kid.
I have no idea what you mean.
Of course not. Of course not. The grin on this chef's face looks at you, Florrie. It says a completely different story. The chef is clearly going to make Roth out to be some sort of idiot.
Yeah.
And or a whirlwind that was a lot of trouble as a child.
Just remember, I can always tell them the story about the swamp.
But you'll find that was you in the swamp, Roth.
I don't think so.
Oh, but you forget you're leaving soon.
You forget they know how strong I am.
Yes. They also don't know how sticky and horrible a swamp is.
Exactly, they'll never believe you.
Oh, they'll believe me, all right? I'm the one feeding them. Regardless, you two, have I say have fun, but make the best of it.
We will.
It's dangerous to run alone, so be safe out there.
Yes.
The chef nods and goes back to cooking, as it's quite clear that he's got quite a feast to prepare for when the others wake up.
I pack the food.
Mm-hmm.
And then just put in the blurry. Well, I believe it is time for us to leave.
Yes. I think so. Do you have all your equipment?
Yes, I believe so.
Then there's nothing left here for us. For now.
I find that a little sad.
We will return.
Hopefully.
Or will they? Dun
Dum,
dun
dum,
dun. And as they move off to the convoy to prepare for their final departure, that is where I'm going to draw it to a close this evening. So you may begin your journey next episode.
Yay.
Yay! We're actually leaving and not having food.
Yeah.
We
That's
did,
right.
although still have a lot of food.
You guys have a lot of food. You've eaten a lot of food. You've enjoyed your foodie places.
And we have a food-related mission to find a spork.
Yeah.
Good.
So we have to find a spork and some nice rocks.
Yep.
You've been given the most difficult missions in the world.
Spork and rocks.
Hashtag side quest problems.